Hey guys, so today I want to make a full crafting video for the Volcanic Fissure of Snake and Berserker, just to go over every single crafting method. This will cover both the weapon, the chest, the gloves, the boots, and the helmet. Also, the rings are the same crafting method as the gloves and boots if you do want to craft the rings as well. I have it all written down here, so if you just want to read it or just into the video, up to you. I'll go over every single crafting method for all these items. So first, we'll start with the body armor real quick. This one is very simple. It does have a few different crafting methods, but I'll go over each one. So first, you need an eye level 86 royal plate. You can just buy this or farm this into your 17, but they're pretty cheap, like 5 chaos. After that, you either want to spam dense fossil or dense plus jagged. So these are the fossils from Delve. You either just use a solo dense fossil, so use this and then 1 second resonator, and you just spam this on a chest until you get your desired armor mod, or you can do dense plus jagged. This is worse for higher armor, but it more so guarantees the percent physical damage reduction. The reason why this is good for like a lower budget is that if you guarantee the physical damage reduction, then you won't need to do lock prefix and reforge fizz, which is an extra 2 divines. So this is a cheaper method using dense plus jagged, but it's a worse method for a higher armor chest, if that makes sense. Let's just say you spam dense 1 socket resonators on your chest, you get high armor, then all you'll do is prefix lock. So you'll go to your crafting bench, craft prefix cannot be changed, reforge fizz to guaranteed physical damage reduction, and that's it. You will be done. That is how you craft your chest. You can also do your recomps, which I'll go over in a second. It'll be the same way as the weapon, but recomps I usually believe are less cost efficient on chests than usually doing dense fossils in my experience. The next is the weapon. The weapon can be extremely strong. It's where all your damage really comes from. It's very important to have a good weapon. Preferably, you want to use a Valax and at least eye level 83. Actually, eye level 83 is preferable because going higher eye level gives you more modifiers. But yeah, eye level 83 or higher. 83 is best though. And yeah, we want Valax. Ruri Maul is also okay, but Valax is better because it's faster and still has high damage. Those are the 2 base weapons I would use. So I think the best method is probably the recon method, although the fraction method can be good if it's cheap. I'll go over both though. Yeah, so we finally got confirmation that recoms are not nerfed, at least at a base value, only for the multi-mod stuff. So using recoms to craft your axe is a really viable method, but essentially all you would do for recomming your axe is you would alteration spam on multiple axes so you can go in a row and not roll over until you hit tier 1 flat physical damage and tier 1 hybrid physical damage. Now you can settle for tier 2. It would be a worse axe, but obviously it will also be a lot cheaper because rolling for these modifiers can be very expensive. They are extremely low weight. But yeah, this is all you'll do until you hit tier 1 flat and tier 1 hybrid. Then once you have both modifiers, you'll go to the recoms, put them both in, make sure you're on the old recoms, not the new one, so it's random, unpredictable. This is what you would do if there are both the tier 1 modifiers you want. You hit recom and that's it, and you hope you hit. It's a very high chance to hit double prefix. Also, the more efficient way to do this, by the way, is you would put these in your stash. You'll make a regex that has the modifiers. So there's like tyrannical and there's like flaring, so you do something like, let's say this, and then you'll alt spam, and this way it will highlight when it comes up. You can check these modifier names on interactive Exile or PoEDB, and yeah, and that's all you'll do. That's how you make the prefix on a weapon. After you make the prefix, so you recom both of these and they hit, you have your double prefix axe now with flat physical damage and hybrid physical damage. Percent fizz axes you can also keep for later if you want to try for a 3 mod recom. You do want hybrid fizz and flat fizz for this cheaper method. And then the cheap way to finish it, if you don't want to invest any more currency, is go to your crafting bench. Craft can have up to 3 crafting modifiers, or more so known as multi-mod. Craft percent fizz and attack speed. Then you can Warlord Exalt, and then you're done. That's the weapon done. That's a cheap method. The expensive but better method is you craft prefixes cannot be changed from your crafting bench. Use a Veiled Exalted Orb. It cannot be chaos because it can't break your weapon. And this gives you a 50-50 at hidden prefix. If you hit prefix, it's a 100% chance to get percent fizz. Now there's a couple ways to finish the suffix. You can lock the prefix and reforge speed until tier 1 attack speed. Then craft attack speed if enemy is nearby, and then Warlord Exalt. This gives you the GG weapon. The cheaper way is just to craft attack speed, then Warlord Exalt, plus regular Exalt. Yeah, that is the full recom method. There is more stuff to do if you want the triple tier 1. Triple tier 1 is essentially you either do 2 prefix and 1 prefix and combine them together, or you do 2 prefix and 2 prefix combine together and hope to get triple prefix. I'm not going over that in this video because it's way more expensive. It costs like 20,000 plus alts. But yeah, it is the same as last league if you do want to know how to do it. Next for the axe is the essence/fraction method. So depending on the market, one of these is going to be cheaper. Depends how expensive alts are, depends how expensive fractions are and essence are, all that. I can't really say which one is cheaper right now. You can check the market and try to see for yourself. but usually alts are pretty cheap for like the very, very cheap axe. But a high fractured axe can give you the best result in terms of, you know, PDPS, because you can get like triple tier 1 this way as well. Either way, you need a fractured base. So you either need hybrid percent fizz or percent fizz. You do not want flat fractured, because flat fractured isn't really a viable way to craft the axe, because you're going to use contempt essence, and contempt essence gives you flat physical damage. Fractured flat fizz does not work here, because you are going to use this essence right here. After you have your fractured base, either self fracture or bind it off trade. You use one contempt essence. Unless the prefix is filled, if the prefix is filled, then just use another contempt essence, not a big deal. So if you have hybrid percent fizz and you don't have percent fizz, all you'll do is craft prefix can be changed and veiled exalt. This gives you a 50-50, essentially the same method as above, and your veiled exalt percent fizz is guaranteed here. If you're missing hybrid percent fizz, so your axe is a percent fizz fractured, you'll craft any prefix, exalt until 2 suffixes. This is very, very important. Make sure you do this. And then craft prefix can't be changed. So your axe should essentially look like 2 prefix and 3 suffix, the 3rd suffix being the craft. And then aug fizz on harvest. This will guaranteed hybrid percent fizz, assuming your suffixes are filled. So now it's not guaranteed to be high percent, it's more likely to be low percent, but yeah, this is guaranteed. Then just use the same method above to finish suffix. Do note, if you finish with aug fizz, so if you have the percent fizz fracture, then you can veiled chaos over the suffix with a prefix lock, because you don't have a veiled modifier on your weapon yet. Yeah, I hope that explains the weapon crafts. It is not too much, it is pretty easy, but yeah, you can definitely craft a good weapon for like 10 to 20 divines, depending on your RNG, of course. So I'll quickly go over the gloves and boots. These are pretty easy. Just keep in mind, these are not always worth crafting. Check on trade first. This may just be worth buying over crafting, so do keep that in mind. You can also recom these, but usually I found in the past that crafting these with essence is just a cheaper method. So I'll go over the crafting method, but the recom method is the same as the axe. Either way, preferably buy a cheap fractured base off trade. So for boots, you could look for LA resist or chaos resist. For gloves, you can look for any resist, accuracy, chaos resist. You just need like a good fractured suffix that you are going to use. You want to spam any elemental essence or chaos res essence until 3 desired suffix. So you're going to look for like double or triple res. On boots, it's going to be triple res where you want chaos and double res. On gloves, you can look for accuracy, attack speed, res, or double res plus accuracy, right? Depends on your gear, depends on what you're playing. Either way, you spam for essence on your fractured base until you get 3 suffixes you like. This should cost no more than 50 essence. It is usually pretty free to hit. And note, if you are doing this on gloves, you can also use the zeal essence for a high attack speed roll. Once suffixes are done, you buy a beast called Wild Bristle Matron. This is for beast ray crafting. So you go to the beast ray, you use your beast craft, the Wild Bristle Matron. And if your suffixes are full, which they should be at this point, and you use the Wild Bristle Matron craft, this will force on suffixes cannot be changed for a very cheap price. Usually costs 2 divines. With this craft, it usually costs like 60 or 70 chaos. It's a lot cheaper. After that, you reforge life and you repeat this until you get tier 1 or tier 2 life. So if you hit like tier 5 or tier 6 life, go back to beast ray, craft it again, reforge life on harvest bench. And that's it for the gloves and boots. Now to quickly go over the helmet, for the crit version at least, obviously if you're non-crit, use echoes, no crafting done. But for the helmet, this helmet mod right here, the skills have a increased crit for each war cry. This is a infamous mod only, meaning it only comes from mercenaries. You cannot like force this on, you cannot like craft it. It only comes from mercs. Now what you can do is you can buy one of these helmets off trade or find it yourself, then use a fraction orb, and if you successfully fracture it, then you can craft it. And if you do fracture it, use the exact same crafting methods as the boots and gloves. There's no difference. But yeah, I just want to mention the helmet. You cannot craft it unless you fracture it. If you fracture it, you can use the same methods as above. Anyway, that's about it. That's all the crafting methods for all the gear. The rings are once again the same as the gloves and boots if you did want to craft these, although the high-end versions are pretty hard to get. But yeah, that should cover all the crafting methods. Once again, you can use recons for the weapon and chest. I do think for weapon it's pretty optimal. I do think for chest, dense is better, but hopefully that does cover all the crafting methods. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. But yeah, this should make it a lot easier to get your weapon. I did wait to make this video because I didn't know if recoms were nerfed, but we got confirmation the other day that yeah, recoms are not nerfed. So using recoms for your weapon is a pretty viable method. Anyway, that's about it.